Hello,
Good morning, Mario.
good evening.
Oh, good evening. Right. It's morning here.
Where are you in Yerushalayim now?
No, I'm in Ranana by my daughter Shoshana.
Oh, 77.
Say it again?
77, right?
77, correct. Metal, what time do you go? Okay. They all go off to school early here. My grandson's already off. They both go to school in Tel Aviv or Bnei Brak, so they have buses that go from Ranana to there. So they have to go already out early.
How far is it?
Well, how long is your bus ride? 45 minutes.
Wow, it's a long ride for a bus to go to school.
Right.
Hmm. There's no schools in Ranana?
Yeah, they are, but these are special schools. The Zacharias in Yeshivat Bnei Akiva Herzog in Bnei Brak. It's a
Hmm.
known yeshiva, and my granddaughter Meital is in a school called Pelach in Tel Aviv, which is a very high level girls' school,
Hmm.
high academics. So they wanted to go there.
Hmm.
Yeah. She has friends that go with her. She's not the only girl who goes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Where are the others?
Let's see, tonight it's Sunday night, correct?
Yeah.
Sunday night.
Have you met Harold? Is he still in Israel?
I think Harold's in Israel, but he's in Yerushalayim. So we're going to Yerushalayim tomorrow. Maybe I'll see him tomorrow.
Hmm.
Okay, well, we might as well start.
Okay.
So we talked about the Kohen has to do kmitz of the oil and burn it,
Mhm.
and he has to sprinkle from the oil as well towards the Kodesh Kadoshim. And then we said there's some oil that is left behind, and you have to fill it up a little bit more. Otherwise, there would be no oil for him to do the sprinkling. However, the oil that they add to that amount, there had been no kmitza from. And if the person, remember, it's a question: was the person really a mitzora or not? If he wasn't a mitzora, so this oil would have to be sort of nifted, have to be redeemed, and make a t'nai. Hey, Tal, are you calling me? Pr- Press the press the button to open it. Yes, can you press that? Natana, did we open it? Did we open it? Is it good? Okay, good. Thank you. Good evening, everybody.
Did me?
Vayekish rhymed the boy milinu. There is the remainder um, that has to be, like we said, you have to fill up the log in order that there be enough. Vikeach purted log kmitza. That little amount that was filled up, they didn't do kmitza. So the Gemara answers deporically. He redeems it. That he says that if it so happens that the person bringing this korban is not a tsaras, then we will redeem it and give its value to the Bedek Habayis. Now the Gemara wants to know deporically hecha. Where actually is he standing when he does the redemption? Igavoy, if he's inside with the oil, but then Koma'il Chon Lazara, he brought oil that was never hukdash, and you're not allowed to bring chulin into the Azara. Iavroy, if he was outside the Azara, if Selebiyotse, then it becomes possible because he took it out of the Azara. So you have sort of, you're between a rock and a hard place. Lo'ilam Gavoy, he is inside it. Chulin memela havin. He didn't bring it in. The oil was there. So the oil is memela in the Azara. It's not like it was brought in. Rab Shimon name is not bin Shemen. Rab Shimon is the one that you're not allowed to donate oil. So the Gemara says normally Rab Shimon would hold you cannot donate oil. But tikune gavrishani, this is a mitzora that has to be misake, and he has to be corrected so he can eat kodshim. So normally Rab Shimon would hold you cannot donate oil. But in this case, he agrees that you can donate oil. Yosef Rav Chumi Kamei Ravina. Rav Chumi was sitting in front of Ravina. The Yosef Kamer Shmeid Ravuna Bar Tachlifa. We had a whole procedure that if a person is not clear that he was a Mitzorah, so he brings, we said a keves, and he says maybe he would be an Osha, maybe be a Shlomim. But Rav Chumi is asking, Osham Zeyeh, Osham Tolui. Why doesn't he say that? Maybe we had a complication, an Osham and a Shlomim. Shlomim can be eaten for 2 days, and Osham only 1 day. We have this problem. You are decreasing the amount of time that you can eat kodshim. That's not good. But why not then say, if this is not an Osham Mitzorah, let it be an Osham Tolui. Osham Tolui is brought. It's a suffix whether you committed an Aveira that you did something that you would have to bring a chatas for. And people say all the time, we commit so many possible sins, you can bring it as a sort of a Osham Toli b'tnai. And that wouldn't reduce the amount of time that you would eat the meat, because both are Ashamos. And then you don't have this problem with the Osham and the Shlomim that we've been dealing with. Well, Rav Rechumi then, because the Gemara did not give that as an alternative, Shma Mina, Man Tana de Poligale Rab Eliezer, Rab Shimon, that Rab Eliezer, he's the one that says, increases that you're allowed to bring an Osham Toli all the time. But it's Rab Shimon who says you may not do that. And that's why, since this price is the name of Rab Shimon, he doesn't give us the alternative that he should say, if it's not a real Osham Mitzorah, let it be an Osham Toli. The Omar Ein Misnadvin Osham Toli. So Ravina responded to Rav Rechumi, Omar Le Torah Torah, Imri B'dichri Mechlef V'chalol. You're making a mistake, he says. A Osham Mitzorah has to come from, it has to be a lamb in its first year. And an Osham Toli has to be a ram. So it has to be a different animal. So that's why it's not that Rab Shimon didn't bring it because he holds you're not allowed to bring an Osham Toli as an Adova. He brings it because the animals are different. Mishnah. Evrei chatas shenis arvu be'evrei oila. Person brought a korban chatas and already shechted, and you have limbs. Those limbs are eaten by the Kohanim. Then you have an Ola, where the limbs are supposed to be burnt on the Mizbeach. And the limbs got mixed up with each other. Rabbi Eliezer Oimer, Yitein Lamala. You put them all up on the Mizbeach. Now, normally, the limbs of a chatas are not put there because they're eaten. But we view them as if they were fuel for the fire. The Chachamim, they say no. To uber tzirason v'yetzul beisasreif. They say, let the limbs of the chatas, just let them lie there until the next morning. Until the next morning, it becomes noiser, and then you have to burn it. So rather than burn it on the mizbeach hazeitzim, let it become noiser and then burn it then. Now, my time at Rabbi Eliezer, says the Gemara, why did Rabbi Eliezer say better to put the chatas limbs up with the ola and let it be viewed as eitzim? Amar Kra, vel amibech lo yalu l'rech nichoa. By a mincha, it says the mincha has to be eaten. Don't put it up on the mizbeach. L'rech nichochi atamala, aval atamala l'shem eitzim. But you can put things up there, including the chametz and the dvash and other things that normally you don't put on the mizbeach, because you can view them as if they're fuel, like eitzim. Now, the Rabbanon, who don't allow you to do this, they said you should let it become noiser and burn it in the Beis HaSreifa. It says in the pasuk oisam, miet rachmana oisam hu diatamala. Those things, like they talk about the bikurim, or the chametz, or the honey, that go along with the mincha. Those things you may not put up on the mizbech. Aval atamalu l'shem eitzim. As a korban, you can't do it, but to put it up as fuel, you can. Aval midi achrini lo, but only chametz and dvash, but not other things. Only honey and dvash can be put up as fuel, but not other things. So the chatas, the limbs of a chatas, cannot be used as fuel. What does Rabbi Eliezer do with oisam? Oisam hu de Rabbi Eliezer kevish comes back. The pasuk there implies that if you brought them up onto the ramp, the kevish, it's like bringing them up on the altar. But avamidi achrini lo, putting other things up on the ramp, not the dvash and not the chametz, it's not viewed as if they've been put up on the korban. But Rabbanan tarti shmamina, the Rabbanan learn both halachas. Halachas that only certain things you can't put on the mizbeach as fuel, and that other things that are put on the kevesh, it's as if it's on the mizbeach. And then the Gemara points out that masnisan the lokai tana. Then, therefore, the way we've been learning, our Mishnah is not like the following Tana, the Tanya, on Rabbi Yehuda. That the Chachamim did not argue with Rabbi Eliezer regarding the limbs of a chatas, that if it was mixed with the limbs of an ola, you can put them up there. They also didn't argue that beroveh v'nirba, that if an ola's limbs got mixed up with an animal that bestiality had been committed with it, then everyone says you don't put them up on the mizbech either. Shelo yikrevu. So then where is their machlokes? Al manechleku. Al evrei oile tmima shenis arvu be'evrei balasmum. You have a oila, which is a tamim, unblemished, that got mixed up with another korban, an ola korban, that was a balasmum. Rabbi Eliezer oimer yikrevu. The Rabbi Eliezer says you can put the Baal Mum's limbs there. because royani lamala keilu enetzim. Then he uses this svara that the limbs are viewed as fuel. So why does Rabbi Eliezer say you can't put up ma'ishna rovev and nirba, that you can't put them up? The lo chazu, because they're not roy to the mizbeach, but balas mum nami lechazi. Why does he allow that, a balmum, to be put up there as eitzim? They're also lechatchila not roy to put up on the mizbeach. Amar avuna bedukin shabayin. We're not talking about a real bad mum. We're talking about a cataract of the eye, that you cannot really see the mum. And that's according Alibid Rabbi Kiva to Omer Imol lo yardu. Rabbi Kiva holds that kind of mum, that's a cataract in the eye. It's not like missing a leg, like a real obvious mum. But a mum in the eye that you can't really see, the halacha is, according to Rabbi Kiva, that if you put them up, you don't take them down. However, says the Gemara, Rabbi Kiva di avad, that's only b'di'evet if it happened to be put up there. L'chatchila miyamar, does he say l'chatchila you're allowed to do it? They were placed on the ramp. Before they were placed on the mizbeach. Once it's on the ramp, it's as if it's on the mizbeach. So then maybe, even if it was a real mum, not just a mum in the eye, once it's put on the ramp, he would say the same din. Elatimid Rabbi Eliezer, why does Rabbi Eliezer say it's different? Mi'et rachmana mum bam, udelo yerotzu. Hayede taruvas yerotzu. It means to put a animal that had bestiality committed with it on its own, you can't do. But al yedei taruvas, you could do it. That's regarding a balmum. The balmum cannot be put lechatchila by itself. But if it's put in a taruvas, they would. But regarding the animals that were copulated, that they wouldn't get that heter. V'rabona mum bam hu yerotzu. Ha'ovar mum yerotzu. That means if the mum is still in them, they agree that they will not be accepted. But if it's a mum that passed, it's a mum oiver. They will be accepted. Rabbi Eliezer mi bam bahem. Rabbi Eliezer learns the same din. He says the Torah could have written bam and it wrote bahem. Rabbanim bam bahem lo darshi. And they don't see a limud written bam bahem. So the Gemara says that the Mishnah said the reason why Rabbi Eliezer permitted was roya. He said, I see them as pieces of wood. But why do we need it? Harachmana Achshri. The Rachmana just gave us a pasuk that allows you to do it. So, l'divrayim ka'amar lahu. Rabbi Eliezer is responding to the Chacham. Lididi Rachmana Achshri. The Chacham don't agree with me from Mumbam. According to me, I have a heter from the Torah. Lididchu. But according to you that don't learn that drasha, oidel, at least admit to me, mi absar balas mum keisim damu. A animal that's a balmum, the limbs of a balmum will be like wood, just like the meat of a chatas. However, Rabbanan see a difference between the every chatas, which was not a balmum, and a balmum. Hacha me'isi, hasam lo me'isi. That is, a balmum is moist. But you have a kosher chatas and a kosher ola, and the chatas was not a balmum, they don't see it, so it's not mos to the same degree. Mishnah. Avrin be'avrin balimumin. You have olos that were balimum, and the limbs of the balimum olos were mixed. What do? You put them up on the mizbeach? Rabbi Eliezer Omer, if b'di'evet kariv rosh echad mehem, you had 10 heads. You had 10 animals that had been shechted, and there were 10 heads lying around, and they were all balmum animals. And if one of the heads had b'di'evet put up on the mizbeach, then you could rukol haroshim. Then you could put all the heads up, because we say that the mum, the animal that was a balmum, that head went first, and now the other ones are kosher. Kroim shalechad mehem, if one of the limbs or the legs had been put up, yikrevu kol hakroim. We say a svara that the leg that had gone up first, that must have been the balmum one. So the remainder you can do. He says, even if you had 10 animals, 9 heads had by accident been put on the mizbeach, and you have 1 left. Even in that case, it's the complete opposite extreme shita. You'd have to take that head and take it out of the azar and burn it in the Beis HaSreifa. Because that 1 head, even though I've already offered 9, might be the puzzle one. You see how this works? Rabbi Eliezer uses a svara that if the first head went up, we assume that was the puzzledika one. And then lechatchila, the remaining 9 can be put up there. The Chacham say just the opposite. If all 9 had been placed there, we assume that the puzzle one is still the one that's outside, and therefore you don't put it up, you take it out of the azara and you burn it outside. Amar Rabbi Eliezer, Amar Rabbi Lozer, lo hichsher Rabbi Eliezer l'shnaim shnaim. So Rabbi Lozer explains our Mishnah that when Rabbi Eliezer said that if a head had happened to have been makriv on the mizbeach, you can put the rest on. That's if there were 2 heads put there. Because then he'll say like this, of the 2, one of them was the puzzle dika one, the other was a kosher one. So if there's 2, if there's 1, you can't say, but with 2, you can use the svara of one of them was puzzle. But if it was just 1 head, you wouldn't be able to use that head to put the remaining heads l'chatchila up on the mizbeach. Mosif Rav Yirmiyah. The Chachamim oimrim afilu karvu kulan chutz me'achad mehem yetzil beis hasreifa. Rav Yirmiyah brings the end of the Mishnah that said that the Chachamim say, even if all 9 had been put up there, you can't offer the last one. But l'chora, Rabbi Eliezer would say, you'd be allowed to put even that last head up, but that's only 1, not 2. When the Mishnah ended by saying echad, it didn't mean 1 head, it meant a pair of heads, 1 pair, to fulfill the way Rabbi Eliezer explained the sheet of Rabbi Eliezer. Okay, Mishnah. Well, we'll save this Mishnah for tomorrow. So tomorrow will be Monday night. Same thing, 9 o'clock. Monday night. Okay, everybody?
Shkoyach.
Okay, enjoy. Okay, shkoyach.